Khârn, also known as Khârn the Betrayer, is a Chaos Space Marine of the World Eaters Legion. Khârn is the greatest of all the Champions of Khorne, second only to the Daemon Prince Angron in power. He is the avatar of Khorne, embodying that god's indiscriminate rage and bloodlust. Khârn was born on Terra and inducted into the Warhounds Legion. Trained on bot by the Warhounds Master of Neophytes Grunner, Khârn eventually rose to become captain of the 8th Assault Company. When the Warhounds Primarch, Angron, was found, the entire Legion rejoiced, but their elation turned to horror when their progenitor rejected them and disavowed any interest in joining the Emperor's forces. After forcibly teleporting the Primarch aboard their battle barge, as the Emperor had ordered, the Warhounds were forced to keep him imprisoned in a cargo hold, where he killed every Marine officer who attempted to treat with him. While the rest of the battle barge's command staff hovered in indecision, Khârn, the next ranking officer, was the only one who volunteered to try next. Angron attacked Khârn as soon as he entered and came dangerously close to killing him. But Khârn kept his composure in such contrast to the previous officers that Angron was reluctantly impressed. He swore to Angron that his refusal to fight back was not cowardice, but rather the complete awe and obedience which all Warhounds held for their Primarch. He also managed to convince Angron that if Angron was hungry for war, then the entire Legion was at his command, and the Crusade offered a whole galaxy's worth of enemies to slaughter. Khârn succeeded where the other captains had failed, and led his Primarch to the bridge of the ship to assume command of his Legion. Becoming Angron's equerry, Khârn was able to convince Angron to rejoin the Legion after he abandoned them for nearly 2 years. Seeking to gain his father's respect and emulate his strength, Khârn later volunteered to have the butcher's nails installed into his brain, which at the time had a 100% fatality rate. However, Khârn survived the process, being the very first World Eater to endure the nails and earn Angron's acknowledgement as his son. During the subsequent Genna massacre, Khârn and World Eaters, equipped with the butcher's nails, put down a revolt by his old comrade Margot. After a duel, Khârn slew Margot, but not before him declaring that Angron's path would lead the World Eaters to damnation. During the Crusade, Khârn served as Angron's equerry, often acting as a voice of reason that cooled his Primarch's bloody rages, a surprising contrast with the person Khârn was destined to become. Like the other World Eaters, he underwent extensive surgery, increasing his aggression such that he would now find joy only in killing the enemy. His love of killing became so great that he actually had a kill counter installed in the lens of his helmet. This kill counter was made from arcane technology and was a gift from the War Master Horus himself. Shortly before the Battle of Istvan III, Khârn had gained a reputation as a brilliant but unstable warrior. Encountering him aboard the Vengeful Spirit, Nathaniel Garrow reflected that some of the rumors surrounding the World Eater involved atrocities that even the most battle-hardened Death Guards found hard to stomach. Through his dueling matches and joint campaigning with other Astartes, Khârn established friendships with Argol Tal, Gavial Loken, Sigismund, and Nasir Amit. During the infighting on Istvan III, Khârn was believed killed in action while fighting Gavial Loken of the Lunar Wolves, a loyalist determined to stop Horus. Khârn engaged in close combat with Loken, only to be thrown against the dozer blades of a nearby vehicle, impaling his chest. It was believed that the blow was fatal, but this proved false. His mangled body was discovered by one of the members of his company, Skarn. Khârn's friend, Apothecary Kargos, subsequently saved the Centurion's life. Khârn and a squadron of World Eaters were later dispatched to Prospero to retrieve the Moonwolf, a sigil gifted to Magnus the Red by Horus, to prevent any other Psykers from using it to contact him, as Magnus had done in his attempt to prevent the heresy. As an aside, Khârn also had a personal objective of locating mind-healing devices of the Thousand Sons. While there, he interrogated Captain Menace Caliston of the Thousand Sons, captured after a brief battle with the World Eaters. Captain Caliston admitted that the devices Khârn was searching for had all been destroyed, but offered to use his Athenian Psyker powers to salve the guilt and pain of Khârn's mind. Decrying himself as beyond saving, Khârn rebuked Caliston's offer, and after a brief struggle, beat the Thousand Sons captain to death. Khârn later took part in the Shadow Crusade, forming a friendship with wordbearer Captain Argyll Tal. Tal proved able to calm Khârn, which led to Erebus becoming worried that his destiny as the Betrayer would be foiled. After Erebus arranged the death of Tal, an enraged Khârn nearly slew the wordbearer chaplain. Following the events on New Syria and the transformation of Angron into a demonic entity, Khârn was the first one whom the Primarch spoke to. Angron ordered Khârn to massacre the slaves on the lower decks of the Conqueror and build him a skull throne. Khârn and Lotara Sarin later put down a mutiny by members of the World Eaters and Serfs who wished to escape the increasingly corrupted Conqueror. Following the transformation of Angron, the World Eaters went on to mindlessly slaughter any world they came across. Khârn accompanied Angron throughout this and continued to insist that the Primarch was dying. Angron and his legion refused all summons by Horus to muster at Ulanor in preparation for the drive on Terra. This eventually caused the Iron Warriors under Perturabo himself to track the World Eaters to Deluge. On the world, they found the population butchered and erected into a giant mound. At the top of it stood Khârn, who pleaded with Perturabo and his forces to leave before it was too late. Soon enough, Angron led an attack of World Eaters and Khornati demons against the Iron Warriors. Eventually, the two sides came to an agreement to leave for Ulanor following the arrival of the Ultramarines. Khârn accompanied Angron to Ulanor and then to Terra. By the time of the Siege of Terra, Khârn was barely able to hold back the urge to murder anything around him, even valued comrades such as Lotara Sarin. After hearing that Mortarian's Death Guard would instead be the first to assault Terra, Angron fell into a rage and massacred all he came across within the bowels of the Conqueror. Lotara Sarin feared that he would murder the tech priests attending to the vessel's reactor, risking a catastrophic meltdown. This forced Khârn to confront Angron within the ship, where the Primarch revealed he knew of the Eighth Captain's ultimate destiny and wished to supplant him as the Chosen of Khorne. The two battled, with Khârn being little match for his Gene father. However, before Angron could finish him, Khârn placed a teleport Homer on the Primarch, which transported him to the shifting maze within the nearby Night Lord's flagship. Nightfall within, Angron became trapped and spent his time battling the many traps within the maze. With the Siege of Terra begun, Khârn next appeared, leading an attack from a Spartan assault tank on the Lion's Gate spaceport, though the attack faltered in the face of the Emperor's psychic shield of the Imperial Palace. During the renewed assault on the spaceport, Khârn fought alongside Abaddon, Kruger, and Zardulayak, almost completely feral from the Butcher's nails and influence of Khorne. Khârn penetrated deep into the Imperial lines in order to battle Sigismund. The two former allies dueled, and while Sigismund was the superior swordsman, he could not match the chaotic power swelling through Khârn. Sigismund was only saved thanks to Rogel Dawn, who swatted away the berserk Khârn like an insect. Khârn was only saved from death due to a rescue launched by Abaddon. Later, Khârn and Angron both led a massive World Eaters assault on the Eternity Wall spaceport. As the port fell, Khârn slew Sisters of Silence commander Janisha Crowler without even realizing what he had killed. During the drive into the inner palace, Khârn was at the forefront of every assault. However, he was eventually confronted by the Imperial Fist's first captain and his old sparring partner, Sigismund. In the battle that followed, not even Khârn's warp-infused might could best the Imperial Fist, who, much to his frustration, refused to speak or acknowledge the World Eater. Finally, Khârn was struck down by Sigismund, but before the final blow was struck, the World Eater captain remarked that even he was not as damaged as the embittered Sigismund had become. Sigismund then slew Khârn upon the soil of his original homeworld. His corpse was later discovered by Khargos, who ordered his comrades to bring Khârn back to the Conqueror. After this point, an apparition of Khârn stalked the halls of the Conqueror alongside the wraith of his longtime comrade Lotara. When Lotara's ghost finally began to realize that her physical self had mutated into an undead monstrosity, the apparition of Khârn warned her not to look until eventually admitting that the monster was the true Lotara. Afterward, both spirits faded away. After Horus's defeat and their retreat from Terra, the World Eaters discovered that by some dark miracle, Khârn still lived. Whether Khorne himself breathed life back into the Berserker's body, or whether the relentless clamor of battle revived his bloodlusting spirit remains a mystery. Regardless, Khârn initially remained comatose and did not rouse as the World Eaters scattered during the Great Scouring. The Legion tore itself apart without him or Angron to guide them. Even though many World Eaters lost hope that Khârn would ever reawake, Captain Draeger of the 9th Company firmly believed that his old comrade would eventually heal to lead the entire Legion once more. Thus, Draeger took Khârn's body onto his ship, the Defiant, where the World Eaters built a sort of shrine for him and tried to reawaken him for years. Khârn eventually regained his senses, but contrary to Draeger's hope, the 8th Captain would further doom his Legion instead of guiding them. When Khârn returned, fully healed, he led the remains of the World Eaters against a much larger Emperor's Children force at Skalathrax. During the battle, Khârn would become both legendary and infamous amongst the Legion. In what was dubbed the Night of Madness, Khârn turned on his brothers and took up a flamer, running through the World Eaters' lines and burning them from cover in an effort to drive them forward to victory. The flames quickly spread into an uncontrollable inferno, and those who sought to stop Khârn were struck down by the warrior. The actions proved to finally break the World Eaters as a legion, and they tore themselves apart. Because of this, the World Eaters were completely scattered into small, individual war bands, and have seldom, if ever, fought as a unified legion since then. Khârn's actions at Skalathrax earned him the sobriquet, the Betrayer, which he has carried ever since. Since Skalathrax, Khârn has become the unstoppable and bloody avatar of Khorne, and has survived the bloodiest battles to the current age. He never came so close to death as during the Siege of Terra. He hunted through the Eye of Terror, slaughtering any worthy enough to be killed in Khorne's name. One of the famous battles at this time was his fighting with Zargan Ironfist. However, Khârn has taken countless lives, and while human skulls are the most desirable, he is known to have slain almost every kind of Xenos and Demon. Hive tyrants, Necron overlords, autarchs, and war bosses have all met their end at Khârn's hand. Despite his crazed nature, Khârn will still offer his services to brave Chaos warlords. However, many are reluctant to call upon him, for his allies are often as at much risk as his enemies. Khârn has gathered a substantial following for unclear reasons, as he has slaughtered his way across the galaxy. His band of berserkers and other devotees of Khorne has become known as the Butcher Horde. During the 7th Black Crusade, he and his forces ravaged the Blood Angels' strike cruiser Sanguine Tear. During the 13th Black Crusade, his wrath was unleashed upon the Imperium as he, alongside a few of the most insane Khorne berserkers, were loosed on the Emperor's warriors, flocking to the defense of Khârn. During the Crusade, he was a key Chaos commander during the Daemon campaign, where he led his Butcher Horde against the Blood Angels, Adeptus Mechanicus, and Imperial Titans on the planet of Amathal. After the opening of the Great Rift, Khârn sensed the presence of Saint Celestine on the planet of Tzadrekar, and he headed there to claim her skull for Khorne. After carving a path in the Imperial defenses, the Berserker found and fought the living saint, killing her in a duel. Following the return of Angron in the Arcs of Omen campaign, Khârn reappeared, however briefly, at his Primarch's side to battle the Imperium. During the Battle of Malak, he led a boarding action against the Imperial battleship Honor of Terror, which slew the commander of Indomitus Crusade Fleet Quartus, Trincus Abconsis. Today, Khârn is famed as one of the most deadly yet unstable mortal close combat fighters in the galaxy. He is just as likely to attack his own allies in a berserk fury as he is the enemy. Originally, Khârn wielded the chain axe known as the Cutter, though he was a master of all types of weaponry. Today, Khârn wields a plasma pistol and the ancient chain axe known as Gorechild, which, along with its twin Gorefather, was wielded by Angron himself during the Heresy, rimmed with the teeth of a mica dragon. Gorechild is able to tear through armor, flesh and bone with ease. As Khorne's greatest champion, Khârn enjoys the blessing of the Blood God, which renders him immune to the effects of psychic powers. In addition, since he has become demonically corrupted, Khârn exudes a blood mist wherever he walks. This mist allows for the manifestation of demonic creatures and can drive lesser foes to madness. Thank you for listening to this entry from the Warhammer 40,000 Lexicanum.